I had this beautiful scrap of fabric from a recent order, and I knew I couldn't just let it sit in my scrap stash, so I dug around and found these coordinating fabrics and decided I would make a tote bag. Here's the pattern I came up with. Oh wait, she's a princess, so there. I never claimed to be Monet. You can make this bag any size you want. I'm mostly telling you this because I forgot to write down the measurements as I made the bag, but to the best of my knowledge, here are the dimensions. You'll need 2 central pieces, which were 8.5 by 16 inches, 2 9 by 16 inch pieces for the bottom, 2 2.5 by 16 inches for the top, 4 pieces for the strap that are 2 by 24 inches, and 2 lining pieces. I just measured one of the outer panels after I sewed it together and got my measurement for the lining. My lining ended up being 16 by 18 inches. We're going to work on the outer part of the bag first. Line your pieces up, pin, and sew the top and the bottom to the middle pieces using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is what it will look like. Now iron the seams towards the darkest material. For me, it was towards the top and the bottom. That way it won't be seen. I used some fusible fleece to line my tote. Double up your fusible fleece, lay your main piece on top, and cut around all 4 edges so you'll have 2 pieces, one for the front and one for the back. This will help give your bag a little bit of structure, but it's also super soft and squishy. I love this stuff. I would put it on everything if I could. Lay the outer 2 panels on top of those fusible fleece panels you just cut out. Make sure you lay it on the bumpy side of the fleece, which is where the glue is. Iron to hold it in place. I start in the middle and work out. That way the fabric doesn't shift very much. Now top stitch along the top and bottom of that central piece of fabric. This will help hold everything in place and it will give it a nice accent. I chain stitch mine to help it line up. This makes it look a little neater when we sew it together later. Now lay the outer pieces right sides together and make sure you line up the seams the best you can. Pin or clip and sew the sides and the bottom using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure you stop with the needle in the down position to pivot on corners. Do this for the lining too, but make sure you leave about a 2 to 3 inch opening in the side to flip the bag later. Ooh la la, looking good so far. Now to box the corners. Match up the side and bottom seams. Mark 2 inches down from the corner. Line up the ruler so the straight line matches with the seam. Mark with a pen and clip that in place. Do this for all 4 corners. It's okay to use a regular pen because this will all be on the wrong side of the bag. No one will ever see it. Now sew along those lines. Clip the extra fabric at about 1/4 inch away from the seam. I'm using pinking shears, but regular scissors are okay too. Turn the outer bag right side out. And put it inside the lining so your right sides are together. Line up the side seams and clip. Onto the straps. Place the pieces right side together and sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then cut a piece of fusible fleece to fit right inside those stitches. For me, it was about 1 1/4 inch wide. Iron that in place. Flip the strap right side out. I had to use a chopstick to help it along. Iron that flat. And then top stitch along the edges. Take your straps and make sure the same fabrics are right side together. See how I'm matching up the polka dots? Also make sure the strap isn't twisted. I measured about 2 inches over from each of the sides and clipped my straps in place. Then flip the bag over and match up the other strap with the first one. Sew all around the top of the bag, using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Take off the accessory tray if you can. That makes it so much easier. Go back and forth over the straps a few times. This helps secure them in place. Now flip the bag through that opening in the lining. You can machine or hand stitch the opening closed. I like to use the ladder stitch because it's less visible. Just grab a tiny bit of fabric from one side, go straight across where the needle comes out to the other side, grab a tiny bit of that fabric, and repeat. I have a video on the ladder stitch if you need more detailed instructions, or just machine stitch it. Push the lining into the bag and smooth everything out. Make sure you sew around the top again. This will help keep the lining inside the bag. Cut the loose threads and you are done.